Welcome back to Motivation Library, everyone.
It's great to be back.
Today we're diving into a really powerful book,
Oh, yeah.
Tuesdays with Morrie.
I love that book.
It's a memoir by Mitch Albom about his visits with his old college professor, Morrie Schwartz.
Right. Morrie, who's battling ALS.
Exactly. And it's amazing how he kind of turns his dying process into these life lessons.
It's really about, finding meaning in life, even when facing death.
Yeah, absolutely. The book is structured like a college class almost.
Hmm.
Each Tuesday, Mitch visits Morrie for a new lesson, you could say.
That's such a great way to describe it, like a final syllabus from a dying professor.
Right. And it's incredible how Morrie's spirit shines through, even as his body's failing him.
Oh, absolutely. He's got this incredible zest for life. It's contagious, even just reading about it.
Did you have a particular part about Morrie's character that really resonated with you?
I think it was like his unwavering spirit, like even as his body was deteriorating, his mind was sharp, and he had this love for life. He chose to face death head on.
Yeah. Like he wanted to share what he'd learned.
Totally. Like he turned it into a positive thing. You know what I mean?
You can really feel that in Mitch's writing, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it's not just theory with Morrie. Like, remember those dance-free nights he'd go to?
Yo, yeah.
This renowned professor dancing to Jimi Hendrix.
It's amazing.
And, even as his ability to move declined, he brought those tango tapes to teach his students.
It shows how he wouldn't let his diagnosis define him,
It's inspiring. Makes you think about how we let fear hold us back sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
Morrie's approach was so different. And he didn't shy away from the tough stuff either. He talked openly about death, the pain, the struggles.
He did, yeah. But at the same time, he emphasized, the beauty of life, the importance of connection and love.
Yeah, he was all about, defining your own values.
Right. He said the culture we have does not make people feel good about themselves. And you have to be strong enough to say, if the culture doesn't work, don't buy it. Create your own.
That's so powerful, especially for our viewers who are, searching for that motivation to create the life they want.
Exactly.
So let's dive into those Tuesday lessons. What were some of the core themes that stood out to you?
Okay, well, the book covers a lot, right? Death, fear, aging, family, forgiveness, love, and so much more.
A whole range. What was one of the most impactful ones for you?
For me, probably accepting death to truly live.
It's deep.
Morrie believed that acknowledging your mortality helps you appreciate the present moment more.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day.
Totally.
Morrie's philosophy is a good reminder to savor each day. Live with intention.
Like you said, there's a little bird on your shoulder asking, is today the day? Am I living fully?
I love that. It's a great image to keep in mind.
Right. But death is a tough topic.
Yeah.
Some people might find it a little, morbid. How did Morrie address that?
Well, he thought that by accepting our mortality, we can actually free ourselves from the fear of death. It's about using the awareness of our limited time to make choices that, matter to us.
He really flips the script on how we think about death.
Yeah. And he also talked a lot about the tension of opposites in life, didn't he? Like the joy and sorrow, the love and loss.
Yeah, that's a key theme. He believed that true meaning comes from navigating that tension.
Like embracing all aspects of life, not just the good parts.
Exactly.
And he was big on experiencing those emotions fully, right?
Oh, definitely. Not suppressing them, but really feeling them.
It's interesting because he also talked about detachment.
Yes.
Which seems, a little contradictory.
Yeah, sure, right.
But he explains it as acknowledging an emotion fully and then letting it go, not letting it control you.
Right. It's about finding that balance between feeling deeply and not being consumed by it.
It's a powerful idea.
It is. And he had a really powerful personal story about his father, too.
Oh, yeah, that was a tough one.
They had a very complicated relationship, lots of regret, and unspoken emotions.
Right. His father was emotionally distant and died suddenly.
And Morrie carried that regret for years.
But he eventually found a way to forgive him.
He did, yeah. He realized holding on to that anger was only hurting himself.
Such a good example of the power of forgiveness.
It's not about condoning someone's actions, but freeing yourself from the burden of anger.
Choosing peace. And that's something we can all relate to, right?
Absolutely.
And of course, Morrie was huge on the importance of connections, relationships.
Love was central to his philosophy.
He said, love each other or perish.
Powerful.
It's not just romantic love, though. It's about family, friends, strangers.
Yeah, this all-encompassing love for humanity.
And he walked the walk. He really nurtured those relationships.
He did.
And those connections gave him so much comfort, especially as he got sicker.
Yeah, remember how he talked about the importance of human touch? Even something as simple as a hand squeeze?
It's those little things,
Yeah.
right?
It's a beautiful reminder to cherish those moments of connection.
Absolutely.
I think this is a good spot to pause.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground already. From his zest for life to his philosophies on death, forgiveness, love.
So much wisdom in this book, and we've only just scratched the surface.
We'll be back soon with part 2 of our deep dive into Tuesdays with Morrie. But before we go, what resonated with you most so far? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
And if you're enjoying our deep dive, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Motivation Library so you don't miss the next part.
We'll see you back here soon.
Bye, everyone.
Welcome back to Motivation Library, everyone. We're continuing our exploration of Tuesdays with Morrie, and today I want to focus on something that really struck me about Morrie. His humor.
Oh, yeah.
Even when he was talking about death, he always found a way to bring in some lightness, some wit.
Absolutely. He had this incredible knack for finding humor in the darkest of situations, you know?
Like when he told the rabbi about his cremation, he said, "Make sure they don't overcook me."
Oh, I remember that.
Classic Morrie.
Yeah.
It's like he was saying, hey, we're all going to die eventually.
Yeah.
Might as well have a laugh along the way. And that humor.
Right.
It made his teaching so much more accessible.
Relatable.
It made him human, you know?
Exactly. He wasn't this untouchable sage.
Oh.
He was a guy who loved to dance, eat good food, tell jokes, and, yeah, even face death with a chuckle.
And he wasn't afraid to talk about difficult emotions either, like regret.
Oh, yeah. That was another big theme, wasn't it?
Definitely Morrie believed that it's important to acknowledge our regrets, to learn from them,
Right.
but not to be consumed by them.
He didn't want us dwelling in the past.
Yeah.
He wanted us to make peace with it.
Exactly.
He said, make peace. You need to make peace with yourself and everyone around you.
It's so simple.
So simple.
It's so profound.
Right. And he really stressed forgiving ourselves, too, you know?
Oh, yeah.
For the things we didn't do, the paths not taken.
Like those what-ifs that
Yeah.
haunt us. Exactly.
He reminds us that we can't change the past, but we can choose to let go of the guilt and move on.
Forgiveness was definitely a recurring theme.
Yeah, it was central to his philosophy.
Morrie believed in forgiving ourselves and forgiving others,
Yeah.
even when it's really hard.
Yeah, like with his father.
His story about his father really highlights that,
It shows just how challenging forgiveness can be, you know?
especially with deep-seated hurt and resentment.
His father was emotionally distant,
Right, and passed away suddenly.
leaving Morrie with all those unresolved feelings.
He carried that regret for years,
He did.
but eventually he made the choice to forgive his father, not for his father's sake, but for his own.
Because he realized that holding on to that anger wasn't doing any good.
It was poisoning him.
Exactly.
It's preventing him from finding peace.
And that's such an important lesson for everyone.
It is.
Forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves.
It's about breaking free from the past.
And it's important to remember that forgiving someone doesn't mean condoning their actions.
Right. It's not about saying what they did was okay.
It's about acknowledging the hurt, you know?
Processing it.
And then choosing to release that anger and resentment.
Choosing to move on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, another key theme that Morrie talked about was love.
Love.
He believed that love is what connects us all.
It was at the heart of his philosophy.
He had that famous quote, "Love is the only rational act."
Powerful stuff.
He saw love as the driving force behind a meaningful life. And he wasn't just talking about romantic love.
No, he talked about love for family.
Friends.
Even strangers.
This all-encompassing love for humanity.
That's what really resonated with me.
Too. He believed that love is what gives life purpose. And he lived by that. He really nurtured those relationships.
He did. He cherished those connections.
And those connections gave him so much comfort and support.
Especially as his illness progressed.
You know, even as he became weaker physically, he still found so much joy and meaning in those connections.
Remember how much he valued human touch?
Oh, yeah. He talked about how even a simple hand squeeze could bring him comfort.
It's such a simple thing.
I know.
But it speaks volumes.
It shows that sometimes the smallest gestures can be the most meaningful.
Absolutely. And, you know, it also shows that he wasn't afraid to be vulnerable.
You're right.
He recognized that needing help,
Yeah.
leaning on others, wasn't a weakness.
It's a strength.
Shows strength.
And speaking of vulnerability,
Yeah.
Morrie didn't shy away from the physical realities of his illness either.
The loss of control, the dependence on others,
Tough.
But even in those moments, he found a way to maintain his dignity, his grace.
He was so open and honest about the challenges.
But he never gave up hope.
Never.
And he never lost sight of the importance of human connection.
Remember what he said about being cared for?
Oh yeah, he said, the truth is, when our mothers held us, rocked us, stroked our heads, none of us ever got enough of that. We all yearn in some way to return to those days when we were completely taken care of, unconditional love, unconditional attention.
That's beautiful.
It really is. It's such a poignant observation.
It is.
It shows that even in the midst of suffering, he found meaning and beauty.
He did.
He teaches us that it's okay to need help, to lean on others.
It's a reminder that we're all in this together.
We are. We're part of a human family. We need to support each other.
Absolutely. Morrie's message is all about recognizing that shared humanity,
Our interconnectedness.
offering care and compassion to those in need.
He didn't sugarcoat things. He didn't pretend death wasn't real,
No.
but he also didn't let it define him,
Right. He chose to focus on living,
making each day count.
sharing his wisdom and love with the world.
And in doing so, he left behind an incredible legacy.
A legacy that continues to inspire people all over the world.
It's amazing how he used his platform even while battling ALS
Yeah.
to spread his message of love, compassion, human connection.
Remember his interviews on Nightline?
Oh yeah, those were powerful.
He reached millions of people,
And he formed a genuine bond with Ted Koppel.
who's known for being quite stoic.
Yeah, it's incredible. It shows the power of vulnerability and authenticity.
Morrie didn't shy away from the hard truths.
And that honesty resonated with so many people.
It did.
It created a space for genuine connection.
And that's the beauty of his message.
It really is. It
Yeah.
transcends age culture, even life itself.
Speaking of life and death,
Yeah.
Morrie had this really unique perspective on how they intertwine,
He didn't see death as an ending.
more like a transition.
Right. He had this way of reframing it, viewing it as a natural part of life.
Yeah.
And he had a very specific vision for his own legacy.
Oh, yeah.
Remember what he asked Mitch?
To visit his grave
To visit his grave and continue their conversations
on Tuesdays.
on Tuesdays. It's such a touching testament to their bond. It shows that death doesn't have to end a relationship.
It just transforms it.
Like you said, just come and talk. Make it a Tuesday. You always come on Tuesdays. We're Tuesday people.
So playful.
And so profound.
It's a beautiful way to honor his memory.
And keep his spirit alive.
And it reminds us that the people we love, even when they're gone,
Yeah.
they still shape us. They still influence our lives.
Before we move on to the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
is there a particular takeaway from this section that you think our viewers should really ponder?
I think one of the most important lessons is that vulnerability isn't a weakness.
That's a strength.
Exactly. Morrie embraced his vulnerability, and it allowed him to experience deeper connections, more meaningful experiences.
It's a beautiful message and one that I think is so relevant today.
Yeah, where vulnerability is often seen as something to hide.
As we get ready to explore the last part of Morrie's journey,
Okay.
I encourage everyone watching to consider how they can embrace their own vulnerability and build deeper connections in their lives.
Absolutely. We'll be back soon for the final part of our deep dive.
We'll explore more of Morrie's insights and the emotional impact of his final days.
Until then, we'd love to hear your thoughts on the book so far.
What resonated with you? What are your key takeaways?
Share your comments below.
Let's keep the conversation going.
And if you're enjoying our dip dive, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Motivation Library for more insightful book summaries and inspiring life lessons.
See you soon. Welcome back to Motivation Library for the final part of our deep dive into Tuesdays with Morrie. We've been exploring these incredible lessons that Mitch Albom learned from his professor, Morrie. And today I really want to talk about how Morrie, even facing death, never lost sight of what was important.
It's truly remarkable, isn't it? His physical condition was declining, but he kept teaching, kept sharing his wisdom. He was all about living in the present moment.
He really embodied that idea of making each day count. Remember when he described his perfect day?
Oh, yes.
It wasn't about fancy things.
It was the simple things.
Exactly. Like a swim in the ocean, a good meal with friends, a walk in nature.
And of course, dancing.
Always dancing. It's a great reminder that happiness is in those everyday moments, the connections we have.
The things that give life meaning.
And those connections were so important to Morrie. He believed we're all part of something bigger, a human family.
He had that wave analogy, right?
Yes.
You're not a wave, you're part of the ocean.
Such a powerful way to describe our interconnectedness. And for Morrie, It went beyond just our physical lives. He believed that love, memories, those things live on.
Like he said, death ends a life, not a relationship. That's always stuck with me.
Me too. It's a comforting thought, that the people we love, even when they're gone, are still with us in a way.
It makes you think about how important it is to express our love while we can, to tell people how much they mean to us.
Absolutely. Don't wait. And Mitch really took that to heart. Morrie inspired him to reach out to his brother to mend that relationship.
It just shows how powerful Morrie's lessons were. They went beyond just those Tuesday talks. Mitch made real changes in his own life because of them.
It's a ripple effect. One person can truly inspire others to live a more authentic, more compassionate life.
And Morrie did that. His story still inspires people all over the world to embrace life, to build relationships, to find peace even when things are tough.
It shows you the power of a story. A simple story shared with honesty can have such a lasting impact.
Tuesdays with Morrie is a book that stays with you. It reminds you of what really matters.
It really does. And for our viewers who want to go deeper with Morrie's teachings, be sure to check out our full deep dive here on Motivation Library.
We've covered the key themes, talked about the emotional journey, and shared our own thoughts about his message.
And as always, we want to hear from you. What are your takeaways from Tuesdays with Morrie? Which lessons really hit home for you?
Share your thoughts in the comments.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button and subscribe to Motivation Library.
We've got more book summaries and life lessons coming your way.
Keep those pages turning, keep your hearts open, and remember Morrie's words: love each other or perish. Thanks for joining us.